Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Sonoma, California, here for the ANZCAR Cup. The first road course of the season, of course, a very tricky track to race on, and not everybody's favourite track for sure. Joining me tonight is JP. JP, how are you going?
I'm really well tonight, Carl. How about yourself?
I am not too bad, thank you. Welcome to the actual chatting part of the commentary booth.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit different for me. I'm usually the man behind the cameras directing the action. Tonight I'm taking over for Jonathan, who's feeling a little under the weather. So I thought I'd join you in the commentary booth and see what mischief I can get up to.
Have some fun up here. It's an interesting place to be. It makes things different. So before we go on, before we get set for the grid, I'm just going to quickly go through the top 10 of the championship. So not changed too much at the front, with Danny G and Edward Foster at the front of the championship. Just in third place is Michael Skurlock now, with Josh Mickelmore in fourth. Fifth place is Jason Martin with Hamish Gallagher sixth. Seventh is Norman Clark with James Roby getting seventh. Joint seventh, that is. Eighth place is Jason Hartigan with ninth place Matt Hunter, and 10th is Matthew Cluett. So the drivers are starting to work their way up. The championship's sort of got halfway through now, and a few of those drivers are getting their positions locked in for that final stint of the championship when we get to the chase.
Yeah, it's been pretty exciting up until now, and I'm sure it's going to get only even more exciting as we progress to the tail end of the championship.
Absolutely. It's going to be a different sort of couple of races for the next few ones, and it is going to be a couple of different faces up at the front as well. One other thing just to mention tonight before we carry on completely is we are racing on an American server tonight due to some scheduled maintenance for the Australian servers. So we might see a little bit more blinking than we usually have on the cameras. Don't worry if that's happening. It's just unfortunately just because it's the US server, it just causes a few of those problems. Anyway, we're getting ready to go now, so everybody's getting in their grid positions, and let's run through the field. So on the front row of the grid, we have Jake Maloney with Dave Douglas. Second row of the grid, Michael Skurlock with Jason Martin. Fourth row, Jason Hartigan with Matthew Cluett. Fourth row is Josh Mickelmore with Edward Foster. Fifth row is Danny G with Shay Thompson. Sixth is Neil Pearson and Norman Clark. Seventh is Josh Mickelmore with Mirko Dortnack. Eighth is Lachlan and James Roby. Ninth, Stephen Williams, Riley Curtis. 10th is Matt Hunter, Tristan Koch. And 11th is Raymond Yeager and Rob Fletcher. So the cars are heading out now behind the pace car, getting ready for the race. Of course, it is a very different thing to drive on a road course, JP, and you're used to those more than ovals.
Yeah, look, I've done a few oval tracks and started to sort of get my bearings around an ovals, but I'm a lot more comfortable on a road course. So this is probably a little bit more of what I'm used to, but as I was saying earlier this evening while I was looking at these cars going around Sonoma, they do seem to be a little out of place here. They seem to waddle around a little bit and look almost as though they're struggling for grip, but I think that's going to make for even more exciting racing as we go along this evening.
Yeah, it's going to change things up for sure. It's really going to make a difference out there. Just actually having a look, and I don't think Jake Maloney's actually made it to the grid. I'm just trying to find him actually on my parts, but I can't see him actually on the grid. I've got Dave Douglas there, but no Jake Maloney.
No, it doesn't look like he has made the grid, so he's either not made the server or he's going to be trying to start from the pits.
Yeah, something a little bit different there. He had some pace though. He was about half a second faster than the rest of the field, which is a decent amount of pace for sure. So we'll have to see how that works out.
Absolutely, if he gives himself the challenge of starting from the pits, it's going to be hard work for him. But yeah, like you said, he did have the pace during practice and qualifying, so dare say that we'll see him blazing through a few cars if he does that.
Yeah, can see that happening for sure. So we're getting round to the final sections of this track. Obviously, Sonoma is a track most people hate in these NASCARs, and as you said, they're a bit wobbly around here. And it is going to be a very difficult one tonight. Got a few road course specialists out there tonight, though, with Dave Douglas, Jake Maloney, Michael Skurlock definitely up there, but we could see some surprises for sure.
Absolutely, and not discounting some of the newer guys like Jason Hardigan. He's fairly handy on a road course, but still, this is going to be the first road course for him in one of these cup cars, so it'll be interesting to see. And they're off and running, and so far they've all gotten away fairly cleanly.
We've got a good clean start there. Jason Hartigan getting a good start as well, getting past Martin, getting up back behind Skurlock there. And the other thing about road courses is they are a bit harder to commentate on sometimes, because it's a bit harder to watch all the cars at once. So that's always fun. So just looking down the field now, Maloney did start from the pits indeed. He's down there in last place. We've got a car off the track with Lachlan. He's actually just gone slightly wide through the top end, through that high end of the track as you go downhill, and slightly got offline there. It's so easy to do on this track. It's a very hard one to drive.
And already you can see Jake Maloney starting to carve up through some of the back markers. He's made his way up to where's he at now? I've lost him, but
he's 18th place.
There you go. He's in 18th place. He's starting to move through the field, so he's obviously set himself the challenge, and he's going to see if he can make that happen for himself.
Well, if anyone's got the pace out there tonight, he does. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes with this one. But he's going to have a tough time, I think, trying to catch some of the leaders, because although he had that bit of extra pace in qualifying, the struggle comes when the tyres start to drop off here. And when the tyres drop off in these cars on a road course, it is not a comfortable thing to drive around.
And that's probably the next thing that I was going to mention as well, was going to be the tyres. He was really quick in practice and qualifying, but he must have been pushing the car pretty hard to get to that kind of pace. And how long is his tyres going to last? At the moment, oddly enough, well, not so much oddly enough, these guys are really good drivers, but everyone's going through fairly cleanly. Looks like Dave Douglas and Michael Skurlock have put already a gap on Jason Hardigan, and he's coming under attack by Jason Martin.
Yeah, Jason Martin coming off a win in the trucks at Canadian Tire Motorsport. Hold on, words not working there. Motorsport. I'll call it his proper name. That's easier for me. Jason Martin taking a win in the trucks there, and the road courses have always been the big Achilles heel for Martin, but he has been putting in practice and time into them and getting better results all from last season. We've seen that. Other people to keep an eye on is Edward Foster down there in 6th place. Not his favourite track. He will let you all know about that one. But he is a very good road course driver. He's got quite a lot of years of experience under the belt for that, and that can help sometimes.
Absolutely, and right now we're looking at mid-pack where Danny G was getting up onto the back of Neil Pearson there, but Neil seems to have moved away a little bit, but I'm sure Danny's going to be able to catch up to him again. He seems to be quicker in certain spots of the track than Neil is, and Neil quicker in faster in other spots. But yeah, that's sort of ebbing and flowing at the moment. And getting back to the front of the grid, it looks like it looks like my timing screen is playing up. Obviously, the American server is playing tricks on us. So 1, 2, and 3 haven't changed, although they're going to be showing a lot further down the field than what we can see at the moment.
Yeah, unfortunately, as we say, some just technical gremlins coming in just because of that server change. It really does hamper things a little bit. At the moment, Dave Douglas has a 1-second lead over Michael Skurlock and a 3-second lead over Jason Hartigan. Jason Hartigan just has about a 1-second lead over Jason Martin. So they're getting a little bit spread out now, and this is where the guys start spreading out a little bit. You start getting a little bit wider areas. You start seeing the cars just moving around and just sort of getting into a good position. But just jumping down the field a bit to Jake Maloney, he's now battling with James Roby, getting down underneath Roby as they come through the dip up onto that big long part of the very straight, draggy stripped part of the track, going up to the corners. And he's going to have Mirko Dortnak in front of him now, and he's going to try and make short work of him.
Yeah, you can see, as we were saying, he's blazing on through the field. He's probably not getting through them as fast as I thought he would, but he is still making his way through them. He's all over the back of Mirko Dortnack at the moment. I think he might try a braking move coming through here, although he's fairly far back now. But you never know with Jake. He's able to do some pretty special things on the road courses.
And Dortnack has gone to cover him a little bit early and actually got past Stephen Williams, who was having a little bit of a problem there. Dortnack went in to cover him early, going a little bit deeper into the corner, and that's given Jake Maloney a little bit of a better chance there to get closer to him, defending the position. It's one of those things. Sorry, it wasn't Stephen Williams. It was Norman Clark. Sorry. One of the things of Murrayism, as you will if you ever watched Formula One in the long ago when Murray Walker was commentating, catching is one thing, but passing is another. As we see Maloney going down the inside of Mirko Dortnack now, getting the job done.
Yep.
But yeah, catching is one thing, passing is another. It's not always easy to get past here.
And Mirko did the right thing. He knew he was beaten at that point. He left the door open for him, lived to fight on another day, and just let Jake get on with the business, and he can get on with his business of racing as well.
Absolutely, and sometimes that's the best thing to do, because right now Maloney's got a blistering pace out there.
Oops.
But
sorry to interrupt. Looks like Shea Thompson had a bit of a moment. I'll see if we can go to a replay of that.
yes, I saw a bit slow there for Thompson, just going around as they go through the twin set of corners, going into the infield slightly and having to spin the car around, losing a fair few positions there. Shea Thompson was having a good run up until then and managed to get back moving just in front of Maloney, who I imagine will get past relatively shortly while Thompson gets back on the accelerator.
I'd say so. It looks like he'd just gone in a little bit too hot there and pinched the rear brake as he was going into the corner. Shea's in the pits already, so he must be looking to, I'd say, change those tyres. They've probably gone a little bit too hot for him.
Yeah, that is something that these cars really struggle with, of course. They've got very, very small brakes, metal brakes, of course, and you don't have any of that fun, fancy carbon ceramic nonsense in an ANZCAR. It's all metal and it's all there. And these things are not easy to stop. They don't stop on a dime like some other racing cars. They're very heavy. The tyres will go off quite quickly if you make a mistake like that. When you spin the tyres up, they will overcook quite quickly as well on these road courses, and they can really catch you out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these cars, like you said, very small brakes. They've got the brakes of a yellow cab, and yet with all of that power under the hood, they really are a tough job to slow down. At this stage, it kind of looks like Dave Douglas has checked out. He's got a good lead, almost a 4-second lead on Michael Skurlock, with Jason Hardigan another 3 seconds behind him there. So, yeah, looks like Dave is currently in the box seat.
Yeah, look, you've got to say Dave Douglas is in a very controlling position right now. Skurlock keeping him kind of honest, but sort of keeping between the fight of Douglas and Hartigan, really. Jason Martin is starting to come up onto the back of Hartigan as we speak, though. But Dave Douglas has got an enormous lead.
Yeah, Jason Martin's applying the blowtorch. He hasn't really left Jason Hartigan off the hook at all so far this race. And in the background we can see Edward Foster just sort of doing his thing, staying in the background there, being Mr. Consistent, really, waiting for an opportunity. Just seeing here a comment from Brad Allison, who said Cup drivers can't turn right. Well, actually, I probably said that, but looks like I'm eating my words tonight. They're doing a fantastic job out there.
They are indeed. Well, you've got to turn right into the pit sometimes. Like, that's the thing. Is there are some right turns on ovals. It's just if you're doing them, you're not doing it right most of the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, these guys, they come from lots of different pedigrees, and especially with Australian motorsport, is a lot of Australians have raced V8s. That's the thing. It's V8 centric over here, as you probably know, JP. But there is that road course experience, and that's the thing, is people tend to have more road course experience than they do with oval experience. So you tend to find a lot of these drivers can do quite well on these road courses. It's just getting this car to do well is the hard part.
Yeah, I guess with these cars, it's all about finding that rhythm and getting into the flow of the track. And once you're in that groove, I guess you can keep going. And like you said, yeah, look, Australian V8, it seems to sort of go hand in hand. If you're an Australian, most of us want to drive a V8, and most of us want to drive a V8 at Bathurst. So the guys who are out here tonight, some of them have had some experience in the V8s. They're understanding how to drive the cars, and they're doing, like I said, they're doing a damn fine job of it.
They are, and just looking down the field a little bit, Jake Maloney has got past the two Mitch Motorsport cars of Danny G and Josh Micklemore. He's now on the back of JCW, Joshua Carroll Walden. But up the front, Jason Martin is starting to apply the pressure to Jason Hartigan as well. So we've got a couple of good battles on this track at the moment. It's a bit hard to know where to watch.
Yeah, and I can see JCW is carrying a little bit of damage already on his car. I don't know if that's going to be affecting his aero or not. But yeah, Jake is all over the back of him now. I can expect a pass I'd be surprised if he didn't try a passing move on him before the end of this lap.
Yeah, I think we're going to see it down into this set of corners. He's going to try and do the late braking again. Just try and get Joshua Carroll Walden slightly off position, try and make him defend the corner a little bit, get a little bit better drive off the corner, and then possibly drag him down to the final set of corners, then going for the late brake there. Of course, very curvy section before you get to that almost Monaco style wall system as you do of the pit straight here. It's very, very close, and we can see that Maloney is getting very, very close here. He's got that better drive off that corner. Like I said, will Joshua Carroll Walden go in for the defence? He's going to stay out wide, and Maloney is going to take it with ease.
Oh, he goes a bit wide.
He's gone wide.
Open the door for JCW to go back through.
Absolutely. Curse of the commentator there in action. Stephen Williams catching up now as well in the DPR car, getting past Danny G. Jake Maloney there just carrying a little bit too much confidence there as he went into that corner and just left it a little bit too late maybe, and that's going to cost him a little bit of time through this race. And the other issue, of course, is when you do that, you get all of those lovely marbles on your tyres, and then you also usually slightly outbrake yourself, sometimes get a little bit of a lock-up and can put a little bit of a flat spot on these tyres.
Exactly, and now he's got to do it all over again. Line up JCW, make that pass, and see if you can make it stick. Oddly enough, though... Sorry?
Sorry, yeah, I was just going to say, Matthew Klutz made a mistake at the front. He's gone a little bit wide through one of the corners, just down as you go downhill again on the track. He's gone wide off onto the sand here, onto the desert, and that's let Foster and Pearson through. And now Pearson is right on the back of Foster as well.
Now, this is going to be a bit of an interesting fight here.
Three very experienced drivers, and Pearson, one of the slightly newer drivers to the Cup Series. He gets a little bit too much curb there, and that's cost him time. That's going to cost him time down this big drag strip, and that's going to allow Kluert to get close to him. Will he be able to get through on this final corner? As we see in the background, Maloney making a move on Joshua Carroll Walden again. Is he going to make it stick this time?
Yep, he makes it stick this time, and Joshua opens the door for him. No problems at all.
Nice and wide there, lets him through. The thing we were saying earlier as well is sometimes it's easy just to let that fast car past and race your own race, because if you're saving your tyres a little bit, if you're not running too hard on these tyres, you can make them last longer, and sometimes that can help you because there's no cautions here. You don't have a pace car come out. You don't have that full course caution system here, so you can't rely on a caution to come out and give you a free pit stop. You've got to basically just, well, really go for it all lap long.
And it looks like that's what these front runners are doing. It looks like Jason Hartigan's eked out a little bit of a gap on Jason Martin now. Michael Skurlock and Dave Douglas, well, like I said, Dave Douglas is checked out. Michael Skurlock is trying to at least keep him in eyesight. But it seems as though Dave is sort of pulling away from him. Their lap times aren't that far apart though. Last lap for Dave was a 1:39.3. Michael was a 1:39.9. So there's about 6/10 there. Yep, really interesting stuff going on here. Yeah,
keeping each other honest as they go through these sections. And They've managed to pull out that lead there. Dave Douglas has set the fastest lap of the session so far as well, but now he's just easing off a little bit and not pushing the car too hard. And if you can get that sort of position set, then it can really help you. But we've got a great battle here for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th as Maloney catches onto the back of Cluett. As Cluett gets Pearson and spins him round, Maloney getting very, very lucky there and not hitting Pearson. He got very lucky to not get hit there because Pearson was going round right in front of him as Cluett just caught the back end of him.
And we're just going to have another quick look at that, and yeah, definitely just tags the rear end of Pearson's car, turns him around, and I dare say Pearson's not going to be too happy about that one.
No, I imagine he's going to be displeased about that for sure, and that's given Maloney the chance to get a bit closer to Cluett as well, but given Foster a chance to get a little bit of air between himself as we see Maloney going down the inside of Cluett, and Cluett's had to go wide to avoid that as they go into turn 7. And yeah, great job there for Maloney. He's now got Foster in front of him, and you've got to say that Foster's going to get caught pretty quickly by Maloney here.
I'd say that's pretty much a certainty, and we're only 10 laps into this 45-lap race, so Jake's in with a real chance here of being able to catch up to the guys in front. Although they are still in the 39s. Dave is 39.3. Michael there last lap not so good, a 40.7. So Dave is still keeping the lap times just in those 39s, staying nice and consistent.
That's it. Consistency is key as we see Maloney here getting close again to Foster as we come down to turn 11, and he's going to go down the inside again. Foster leaves the door open a little bit. He's probably going to try a little bit of a cutback here, but no, he's just going to let him past. Let him through there, not racing at all. I think Foster's just going to save his tyres and just keep working his own race there. But now Maloney has the issue of making up 26 seconds on the leaders. He's got clean air to do it in, but that is a big gap to have with only 10 laps in.
It's a massive gap to have. I mean, considering Dave is still in the 39s, although his last lap was 39.9. Jake's best lap so far has been a 38.2, which is still slower than Dave's best lap, and currently he's in the 1 minute 40-second range. So it'll be interesting to see what he does now with clear air.
It will be. I'd say the reason why we're having a little bit of a slowed pace for Douglas is just because he's starting to catch some lapped traffic already. He's getting past a couple of cars now, and that's caught him out a little bit, slowed him down a tiny bit through those sectors. So we've seen a little bit of a drop-off of pace at the front because he is catching up to those lapped cars, and they can really cause a bit of trouble for you because, of course, again, you don't have to... There's no blue flag rules in NASCAR. There's no blue flag rules, so you don't have to get out of the way. Obviously, people will generally get out of your way. They're not going to race you too hard for the lead and things like that, but you still have to go offline sometimes. You still have to change your approach to corners, and that can cost you half a second sometimes through a lap.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing with this kind of racing. These guys want to keep it competitive, but they also know when they've been beaten. They know when the faster car's behind them. They know when it's time to let them go. And
and quickly, sorry, JP, we've got a good little battle just between Foster and Cluett now, as Foster got a little bit wide, Cluett got a little bit squirrely out of turn 11, off that sort of final turn, and getting very close and racy here with Joshua Carroll-Walden just behind them now.
He is right up behind Edward Foster now.
Caught them like a scalded cat. He's doing well, especially with that bit of damage on the back. No, not sure where he got that from, but obviously it's not affecting him too much at the moment. The other thing, of course, is there is that new damage model to these cars as well. So sometimes the damage has changed a little bit from what we're used to, obviously.
Yeah, it looks. It doesn't really look like it's affecting him much at all.
And that's one of the... Oh, sorry.
No, you're all right. I was just about to say, it looks like we could be up for a passing opportunity here. No, Edward covers off nicely. Matthews all over the back of Edward's car. I think he's just buying his time, although JCW is just sitting back there, just waiting for an opportunity as well.
He is just holding back there, keeping his eye on this battle and waiting for somebody to make a mistake if that happens. And if they do, he's going to be straight over the top of them. Foster's been having issue through that final turn into the corner. He seems to be going wide quite a lot there. So will we see Cluett go for the inside? He's going down the inside now. Will he make it work? We'll have to wait and see. Foster takes that wide approach. He swings out wide, and Cluett goes down the inside along with JCW. But now Foster's got the inside for that final kink into the start-finish straight. Foster manages to keep the position off of his teammate Joshua Carroll-Walden, but loses it to Cluett.
Yeah, nice move by Cluett there. I think Ed maybe just took the car a little wide there, but he's been able to keep JCW at bay and fight on.
Something I've seen with a couple of laps of his, he seems to be going very wide through that final corner there, just taking a very sweeping approach. So I don't know if that's a little bit of a tactical move, trying to just keep a little bit more life on the tyres. But he's doing his best out there. As the battle at the front has sort of stayed as it is, really. Dave Douglas is in the lead. He's got a nice lead of 17 seconds now over Michael Skurlock. Just behind them is Jason Hartigan with Jason Martin just in fourth. Fifth place is Jake Maloney, but he's not gaining the time he needs now. He's 30 seconds down still, so he needs to be making up that time quicker because he's just not able to do it at the moment. And if he can't make up that gap, he's not going to get this race win.
And it seems that maybe fighting his way through the traffic has really hurt Jake, because his last lap time was a 1:41.6, and yet Dave did a 1:40.3. So he's Dave has the measure of Jake at the moment. Although let's see what his lap time was there. He's just come across the control line, 1:40.6 as well to 1:40.3 for Dave Douglas. So looks like Dave's got Jake's measure.
It does. Just noticing, just as Jake's car's going through those corners, it's most noticeable through that final corner. He's getting a lot of scrubbing. The car isn't turning. He's got a lot of understeer, it looks like.
Just had a tank slapper as he came over the crest. Managed to gain control of the car. That's not going to that's going to hurt him a little bit for his lap time. So, although starting at the back of the field was a great challenge, it might end up by not paying off for him.
I think that might be the case. I think he's actually damaged his tyres a bit through that magnificent drive through the field. Gave us some great stuff to watch, but you can just see when he's going through these corners, he's just having to lift off a little bit early. He's just gingerly going through them. Tail stepping out a little bit sometimes, and the front is just not quite hooking up for him. So I wonder if he's worn those tyres down a little bit too thin and a little bit too early, while those other guys have just kept a steady pace out there and kept it going, so they've not really worn their tyres down, because he definitely looks to be struggling through a few of these corners.
Yeah, absolutely. It does look like he's having a bit of a tough time of it. Things have sort of started to pan out across the field now. Not a great deal going on, although we're seeing a bit of a battle here with the teammates with JCW and Ed Foster. JCW's all over the back of Ed, menacing him at the moment, but Ed seems to be able to get away. JCW's having a look here going down the main straight, but Ed's on the inside, so looks like JCW will have to wait another lap. Maloney
is in the pits. We just saw it in the background there. Maloney is pitting, so those tyres were definitely hurting him. So he's the first to blink for new tyres, and this might cause a few people to actually think about stopping a little bit early themselves. We're only on lap 15 though of 45 laps, so he really took the life out of those tyres too quickly, it seems, and that has really cost him dearly, because he's going to lose all of those positions he gained. He's dropping right down the field now. He's in 17th place now. That's going to cost him severely. But we saw with Foster and Carroll Walden there again, as they went through those final corners, you could just see Foster takes a wide line through those corners, and it seems to pay off for him quite well on the exit speed of the car, because you've got that strange little left-hand kink as you come across the start-finish line, which really does mean that you tend to have a little bit more speed if you take a wider line. So he's sort of luring cars in to go a little bit closer through those corners, through turn 11, which is causing him to not have the speed on the main straight. So he's got a better bit of speed on that main straight, but he's also got the inside line for turn 12.
Yeah, absolutely. So it looks like he's just not like conserving his tyres a little bit by taking that wider line, and then being able to maintain a little bit of mid corner car speed as he exits that corner.
Yeah, just watching there though, he didn't make it work then. He lost the rear end as he came in there. He didn't lose any positions because nobody was close enough. But this has given Stephen Williams the chance now to get onto the back of Joshua Carroll-Walden. Now Josh Micklemore is there with Neil Pearson climbing his way back up the field. So we've got a very close race from 6th to 10th at the moment.
Absolutely, it's looking pretty exciting. And Jake Maloney's still in the pit, so maybe he's decided to call it a day. I don't know.
Shame if he has. Yeah, still in the pit, so a long pit stop there. So obviously maybe not scheduled or something. Maybe he has some issues there, which will be a real shame because had some serious pace there, was giving us some great racing. As we see Stephen Williams fighting with Joshua Carroll-Walden now. Those cars are really getting so close together as they come across the top of the hill, down towards that turn 7 section, that very slow right-hander.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like JCW's trying an inside move there, but he's not quite got it. Yeah, look, Jake's still in the pits. So it sort of reminded me of a scene from Talladega Nights. Maybe he's gone off to get a chicken sandwich or something.
He's just making a real challenge for himself when he comes back.
Yeah, Bradley Allison was mentioning Jake's rear tyres that appear to be overheating. Yeah, absolutely, Brad. That looks like that was exactly what was happening.
Gotta say, as a huge pack comes in, we've got cars moving all through the field. Neil Pearson getting a good drive, as well as Stephen Williams there. Stephen Williams getting past Joshua Carroll-Walden, Neil Pearson getting past Josh Micklemore there. The two DPR cars are doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, doing an amazing job there. JCW just seemed to be maybe caught unawares there, and Neil Pearson just took that opportunity and just ran with it. But JCW now, he's not going to give up that easily. He's all over the back of Neil's car. Sorry, of Stephen's car.
It's tricky, isn't it, when they're both same colours?
Both the same colour, exactly. But I am looking at the timing screen in front of me. I probably should have known.
It's one of those things. It's a common mistake for commentators. I'll just say that because that makes me look better.
I'll call it a Carlism.
Few people have dubbed those. As Josh Micklemore getting a good look, as Stephen Williams has got a bit wide there, and that's going to allow Joshua Carroll-Walden to get a little bit of run. Not quite enough though, as they come back down to turn 7. Struggling that a little bit just to get there and get past him, but he might get a better run off this corner now. That long wiggly section you get down towards turn 11, turns 8A as it's called in America, 9, 10 and 11. You got to love how they have 8A rather than 9. But Joshua Carroll-Walden might get a little bit better speed here down towards that final turn.
Looks like he's got a really nice run, but he might just be too far away to be able to do anything. Steve got a good run towards the tail end of that as well. Oh, but he goes really wide, locks up. That's going to give JCW a real opportunity here.
And they're 3 wide, almost going across the start line there because Foster was slow into that corner.
Yep, and JCW had to back out of it there to stop from driving into the side of Steve's car, I think it was.
Really close racing there, very well driven to avoid an accident there for Carroll-Walden, because 3 cars trying to go across Sonoma is not a pleasant sight, and usually it's not going to work out for you. I can confirm Maloney has disconnected, unfortunately, so we've lost Maloney from this race.
It's a shame because that would have been an interesting battle to watch, but anyway, life goes on. And look, I mean, it would have been really easy for JCW to press on and turn Steve Williams around, but he did the right thing. He rolled out of it and lived to fight on, I think.
Live to fight another day. That's sometimes the best way to think about it. Because it is a long race to go. We're only on lap 19, so we've got another 26 laps to go on this one. When Dave Douglas crosses the start-finish line next time round. So still a long way in this race to go. And these guys are fighting like it's almost the last lap of the race. They're so close together.
Absolutely. Well, that's definitely the most interesting part of the race. Everything else seems to be everyone else seems to be holding station with a reasonable gap. Mirko Dortnack there in 15th place is fighting with Norman Clark. Norman seems to have the pace though, and he's holding Mirko Dortnack at bay. So go Norman.
Yeah, I actually feel like Dortnack was in the lead last time round, so I'm just wondering if Dortnack maybe had a little bit of a touch. Yeah, I think Dortnack had a bit of a mistake, and that's allowed Norman Clark to get past him, because there's that bit of damage on the front of the car. So somewhere along the line, I think Dortnack maybe had a little bit of a munch on the barrier there, and that's got Norman Clark past there and having a good job keeping him behind him. Coming up to Riley Curtis, who is in the pit lane as we speak. Riley Curtis coming into the pits.
Yep, now we see Riley into the pits.
And sorry, just to cut over you there, Neil Pearson's just got past Foster, and Williams is looking to do the same thing. There is a real close battle there.
Yeah, looks like Foster's tyres are really starting to hurt him now.
We could well see Foster coming in on this lap as well. Of course, this is around the time where you want to come in, because obviously the track's going to rubber up as Josh Mickelmore makes a nice dive down the inside of Williams there. Doesn't quite make it stick, but a good job there, and Williams is now going down trying to get past Foster on the outside, which then turns to the inside line. Very, very close racing. These guys are getting very, very racy here, but I would be surprised to see Foster staying out another lap. I think he'll come in this time round for tyres, but I have been proven wrong in the past.
And there you go. Not this time, Carl. You've got it bang on.
It's almost like I know what I'm doing sometimes. People will not believe that one for sure. As Stephen Williams takes the Foster approach through turn 11, just going that little bit wider to get a better run off the corner. And JCW as well, just getting a good... Stephen Williams is actually into the wall, sorry. Stephen Williams has gone sideways across the start-finish line. Sorry, I just saw that out the corner of my eye. I'm just going back to see what happened there. Looks like Stephen Williams has just lost it going through turn 12. He's just lost it going across turn 12, coming onto the start-finish line, gone into the inside wall there. That's a big mistake for Williams.
Yeah, look, that's really going to hurt him, and it does look like he's going a little, quite a fair bit slower now. So his car must be affected. Maybe the steering is affected on his car. Let's see if we can get in the cockpit and have a look.
I would be amazed if his engine didn't take damage from that as well, because it was a very hard hit on that inside wall. It's a very tricky part through there.
Looks like although his steering might be a little bit left hand down. I'm not entirely sure though.
No, I wouldn't have done the car any favours for sure. That is one thing that we can be certain of.
Absolutely. And Michael Skurlock's in the pits now. And oddly enough, while all of this has been going on, while everyone else is doing 1:42s, Dave Douglas is still in the 1 minute 40-second mark. So he's pressing on, and he's still got good lap times.
Yeah, he's been just driving that car to a set pace really through this race, Dave Douglas. He's not doing anything fancy out there. He's not really making the car look that fast, but it is quite fast because he's not pushing it that hard, and that's allowing him to eke out more and more of a gap as this race goes on. Last time across the line, it was a 30-second gap to Jason Hartigan, so he has really got a good gap to him. The one thing he has to be a little bit cautious of now is, of course, with Skurlock coming into the pits is that undercut. I don't think we'll see Dave Douglas coming in until about lap 25 maybe, or 26 though.
He's going to want to keep those tyres of his next set of tyres as fresh as he possibly can. And if he can get that 6 lap gap on the rest of the field, that's just going to pay dividends for him in the end. Jason Hartigan, though, I'd be saying he should be covering off Michael Skurlock and diving into the pits for tyres this lap.
Yes, it's something to think about, because he's also got Jason Martin, who's he's not super close. He's a couple of seconds down from Hartigan, but those two have got their race, so it's going to be whoever stops first, and Jason Martin has the advantage for that because he can come in and then Hartigan can't respond to that.
100%, yep. Now it'll be interesting to see what Michael Skurlock's fast lap is.
Yeah, you can see the speed he has as he got past Neil Pearson, who's coming into the pit lane now. Pearson into the pits. Foster's dropped down a little bit. He's down in 10th place now from that stop. We'll have to wait for things to start sorting themselves out now, obviously, because things are going to be a little bit up and down as they've all done their pit stops. I think Danny G has also come into pit lane as well. Yeah, Danny G is in the pit lane. Sorry, and Josh Micklemore has stayed out, so bit of split decision from the teammates there.
Probably looking like they're hedging their bets a little.
You could imagine so. And finally, Dave Douglas is dropping a little bit of time, but not much. He's still setting the fastest times out there by almost a second a lap. But as these guys start getting on those fresh tyres, we're going to see a big jump in times from them. They'll be down in those low 39s, and in fact Foster is saying that because he's down in a 39.3 now, so you can see the advantage of those fresh tyres.
Absolutely, and given that kind of advantage, this is the sort of lap times, if not better, we can expect from Michael Skurlock. So I would say Dave would have to cover off and come into the pit sooner rather than later.
Yeah, he had about a 15-second gap off memory, so he did have a little bit of time between himself and Skurlock, but he is going to start losing that time because Skurlock is setting some incredible pace out there now. He's got some serious time in that car, but saying that, Douglas has just set a 1 minute 40.9, which is a really good lap on tyres this old. It's a very good lap in all honesty.
Absolutely, and Michael Skurlock a 1:37.98, so he is really on a charge.
Yeah, he's starting to chase him down. Josh Micklemore is in the pit lane now, as well as Stephen Williams. So we're going to see sort of how this all shakes out for those guys that have stopped already. Foster being the first one of those cars, I believe, in that pack. So Foster up in 8th place is that first car, and it seems like he's got a decent lead now over Josh Micklemore. So those new tyres definitely paid dividends for him. We'll also see how much time that cost Micklemore because of Danny G. So Danny G and Josh Micklemore relatively close on the track, and you can see Danny G now has a good 3-4 second gap over his teammate.
Yeah, absolutely. And from our third commentator at home, Brad Allison, as always, when he shows up, Dave Douglas is cool, calm, collected, and most of all calculated. And I think that's
the pits.
Yeah, and in the pits. And I think that sums it up absolutely perfectly about Dave. So with the lead that he had, you would expect him to come back out ahead of Michael Skurlock, which is a foregone conclusion. And there he goes, back out into the race.
He managed to get out in front of Hartigan. That's pretty impressive there because Hartigan was running sort of in that sort of second, third place there. He had enough gap over Hartigan to get back out in front of him. Jason Martin has also pitted. So Martin in the pits now, Hartigan going out for another lap, and that could really cost him dearly now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the smart move here from Hartigan is to cover off Jason Martin and get into the pits at the end of this lap.
Now, the big question is, though, leaving it out there a bit longer, you're going to have better tyres towards the end of the race, of course. So, when you go back out there, you're going to have slightly fresher tyres than the rest, but then you get the problem of passing cars, and that really can be painful for you.
Absolutely. It's one of those questions. Do you take the pain now, get in the pits, cover off your opponent, and maybe get back out in front of them? Or do you hold out, run slower laps, come back out, or come in later, come out with much fresher tyres and see if you can chase them down? For my money, I prefer to cover off my opponent, but then again, I'm not Jason, and Jason is certainly fast in one of these cars.
He is indeed. And just trying to figure out what's happened to Matthew Clutt. He is having quite a bit ahead. He's coming to the pit lane a bit later than everybody else, I think, and that's cost him quite a lot of time because he's now down fighting with Neil Pearson. Just got past Neil Pearson, but he's now behind Joshua Carroll-Walden. So staying out that little bit longer for Cluett, you can just see the amount of time he's dropped off because he had a healthy lead over Foster before that. So he has dropped down behind Foster, who has now got a nice little bit of a gap between himself and the cars behind him of Josh Micklemore, Cluett, Pearson, Danny G, Josh Micklemore, James Robbie.
Yep, and all of those guys fighting amongst themselves they're going to be slowing each other up, and this is going to be working in Ed Foster's hands and allowing him to get away from them. Just looking at lap times here, last lap by Jason Hardigan was a 1:43 flat. Michael Skurlock Jason Martin hasn't done a fast lap yet, but you would expect him to be in the 1:39s. It's really not going to work well. That's pretty much taken away the lead that he had over Jason Martin.
It has indeed. Just to give you an idea of the difference there, Dave Douglas, of course, he stopped on that lap, I think, because he was a 1:59. So a very slow lap from Douglas. And that was relatively close to Hartigan's lap pace. You can sort of see that isn't a stop pace. That's a very good pace from Douglas. You can just see how much he's catching up, and Hartigan does pit now. But of course, now Hartigan has a little bit fresher tyres for the end of the race. So he's only got to go 20 laps, on this one.
Absolutely, and Dave Douglas has just done the fastest lap of the race, a 1:36.2. Absolutely
blistering heat from Douglas there. He has got some serious pace as Cluett has got past Pearson and Joshua Carroll-Walden as well, who has just got passed by Pearson as well. Joshua Carroll-Walden just falling back a couple of places there, just making a couple of little mistakes through the infield section and just getting passed by a few of those cars now, and they're going to start chasing down Foster.
Now we're going to see how much this has hurt Jason Hardigan. He's just on his way out now. Jason Martin has gone through, and Jason Hardigan clears the control line, and he's out. So Jason Martin is around about almost 7 seconds ahead of Jason Hardigan.
Yeah, he's got a big gap over Hartigan now. He was getting through. He was almost getting into turn 3 as Hartigan left the pit exit there. So that's how much of a gap he has. But Hardigan's going to be able to get up to speed now. He's got to get those tyres warmed up, of course. That's the other thing as well, is you get these nice fresh tyres, but you've got to be careful because they are a little bit cool out there. You've got to get them warmed up. You've got to get them back to their sticky condition and got to get back racing. Michael Skurlock is 27 seconds off the lead now from Dave Douglas. So Dave Douglas pulling out a great gap there. 46 seconds ahead of Jason Martin. So will we see Dave Douglas lap the field here? That's the question.
It's going to come very close to it. I mean, you could arguably say that it's his race to lose. There you go. I've just put the commentator curse on him. But I'm not a commentator, so that's okay. I work the cameras.
You put the producer's curse on him.
I put the producer's curse on him.
As long as you don't put the camera back on him all race long, he'll be fine. So that's the big thing for him.
Sorry, Dave. No more camera for you.
And just looking through the pack, and yeah, it's sort of spreading out a little bit now. There's not too many people close. Kind of expected for this track. I was talking to JP before the broadcast saying This is what we kind of expect for Sonoma, for everything to start making a bit of gap between each other and not really have that closer racing as we get towards the end section of this race. And that's definitely happening now as people have made their pit stops, gotten that all out of the way, and well, really gotten into those sort of slightly different positions.
Yeah, absolutely. Now this is Jason Hardigan's flying lap now, but even before his flying lap, he started to make time on Jason Martin. He's now only 6 seconds adrift of Jason. A lot of work though to catch up to him, and are his tyres going to be able to last the distance? I mean, if he drives his car hard, are those tyres going to fall off the edge too quickly?
That is the big thing. He's got to just ease those tyres in, not push too hard. We saw that earlier on with Jake Maloney. He pushed those tyres very hard, very early on, and we could see the drop-off as somebody's gone around.
Mirko Dortnak, it looks like.
Yes, Dortnak, and he's taken a tow back to the pits, it looks like. The big heavy crash there for Dortnak as he was going around turn 7, I think. Just going into the sort of turn 8 section there. He's just hit the curb, gone around, and then gone straight into that tyre bank. Massive amount of damage on the front of that car. I think that might be his race over.
Yeah, that was a real big hit there. I just went to the Dripping Paints graphics replay, and you could see that big hit into the tyre barrier. So, yeah, that looks like game over for Mirko Dortnak.
A real shame there for Mirko. Unfortunate. But it's easy to do it. It's very easy to make a mistake around here, and you've got to be millimetre perfect. Just watching Dave Douglas a couple of laps ago, he was coming through the final corner, the final little bit of wobbly bits of lap 10, and got a little bit sideways. And it is so easy to do here, to make that mistake, just go a little bit wrong, hit the curb a little bit too hard. And especially when you're going through turns 8 and 8A here, it's very easy to tap that curb and to spin the car, because the cars get very off balance through there. It's a very fast left right-hander with another right on it. There we go. Yeah, having to work out in my head there. But if you catch that inside curb, it's very easy to spin the car, and you get a lot of damage very quickly if you hit that wall.
Absolutely. Here's a question for you, Carl. What's up with 8A? Is that the corner you have when you're not having a corner?
It's the corner that's not really a corner. It's that slight kink. You could say that turn 8 is really not the corner, as we're sort of, if we just carry on board now with Dave Douglas. Let me actually get my right part of the track now. So we come down here into turn 7 through this long sweeping left-hander, which is 6A. Just to be awkward, you get 6 and 6A here. So we go down into that into turn 7, and this is turn 8, and this is turn 8A.
Wow.
So it's just that little bit of a kink, because it's a sort of left-right sort of chicane almost. They classify it as 8A rather than 8 and 6A rather than 6 for some reason. American tracks, they don't make it easy.
No, they don't. Looks like there may have been an issue with Ed Foster just coming onto the last turn there. Just spun out of control. He's managed to get back in control, but he's lost a couple of spots doing so.
That is a real shame. He's going to be kicking himself for that one. And unfortunately, it's an easy thing to do, because you're going a bit too hard there, and the back end will just come around. It pendulums around, and he just managed to miss that tyre barrier on the inside as well. So good avoiding on that, but that's going to drop him down a handful of positions.
Absolutely. Here's a poser for you, Carl. I don't know how this has happened, but Jason Hardigan is now in 3rd place, with Jason Martin some 7.5 seconds behind him.
Okay, I'm going to go and have a little look.
Obviously, the last lap he must have had some issue, because he was a 149.7.
Yeah, I will have a bit of a wander back in that one and see if I can get it. So, yep, he's actually gone into turn 7 there and looped the car around on the exit of turn 7, gone into the wall quite hard on the front, managed to keep the car going, not too much damage, but he lost that position to Hartigan. So that has worked well in Hartigan's favour. Obviously, that little bit of pushing from Hardigan on those new fresh tyres, putting pressure on Martin, may have just been the little bit of tipping point for it, and cost Martin that position.
Absolutely, and we're just going to a replay here of Tristan Koch. Not quite sure what happened here. He was a bit slow coming out of the pits, waited for a faster car to come through. Maybe it's nothing. I'm just looking at the replay. It doesn't seem that that he had any issues, but I might be mistaken. Ah,
I
there he
think
goes. He goes off. He goes off track and just slows down and manages to be able to get back onto the track.
easy mistake to have, absolutely. And up the top of that hill as well, the car gets very unsettled as you, again, through another A corner. That's 3A up there. And that gets unsettled as you go over the crest there, and it's very easy to lose the car. As I say, this track is almost like a bit of a mixture between Spa, Laguna Seca, and Monaco. You've got very close barriers here. You've got very twisty off-camber uphill corners, very twisty downhill corners. It really throws the cars off balance and does make it quite hard to drive around here sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of those tracks which is absolutely treacherous. It's like they're trying to kill you. While I'm saying that, we're watching the teammates here, Josh Micklemore and Danny G, battling it out. They're probably the closest two on track at the moment, and sorry, with JCW in front of them. So this could shape up to be a very interesting battle.
Yeah, we're looking for a good spicy battle here, hopefully. Danny G and Josh Micklemore. Micklemore getting a good catch up on his teammate. Because he pitted a little bit earlier than Danny G, I think. If I'm going right, I'm probably getting it the wrong way around. Yeah, he pitted a little bit earlier. So he stopped. Sorry, he stopped a little bit later.
Nice.
So he's on slightly fresher tyres.
Nice move there. He made an inside move onto his teammate, made it stick. His teammate didn't argue the point, and Josh is off.
Yeah, Josh has got some good pace at the moment, and I think that's going to be the thing. It's going to be running the hair mode of the car and just pushing a bit of pressure onto JCW now, trying to force him into a little bit of a mistake, trying to make him overdrive the car a little bit maybe. But Danny G hasn't given up quite yet on Josh Micklemore. He's sticking quite close to his teammates, so they're giving us a good battle at the moment.
Yeah, he's coming back at him. He's not letting him have it his own way. And meanwhile, I'm here reading the comments from Bradley Allison. 03 Brad Allison thinks he is glad he was not competing tonight. Aussie drivers shine on road courses compared to us oval races. So Brad's giving us all the excuses under the sun as to why he didn't race tonight. Brad, you should have just come on and given it a shot, mate. But all good. Glad to have you. Glad to have you along as the third wheel, as the silent compere.
Good to have you as a spotter position, just watching everything else on the track, really. It makes our jobs a little bit easier. So glad to have you all watching as well. It's always nice when we've got an audience out there, and I hope you're enjoying this one. We've had a bit of a few boring races at Sonoma in the past, but this one definitely hasn't been. We've had some good overtaking. We've got some good close racing still in this one.
Yeah, it's great to see, and it's also good to see that, I mean, we haven't had too many incidences, too many crashes. The race has flowed pretty nicely. I mean, you know, Dave Douglas is pretty much checked out now, and 13 laps to go. As long as he keeps everything nice and calm, I think he's definitely, he's absolutely in the box seat.
Okay, so expect to cut to Dave Douglas upside down in the next 2 laps then. Michael Skurlock still keeping relatively good pace with him in second place, trying his best to sort of match those paces. Jason Hardigan is the current man on the move in that sort of top 3 position, selling slightly faster pace than Skurlock. Dave Douglas still the fastest of them all, though, by a good second that last lap round, which is certainly some pace.
Yeah, he's certainly figured out this track and he's really making it work for him.
Mr. Consistent Dave Douglas, he is very, very good on ovals and road courses, which is a dangerous package to have. But Dave Douglas's strong point is that consistent finishing. He can be consistent over a whole season, and we've seen it time and time again. That number 10 in the top 10, he is always up there and thereabouts. So very much a driver to watch out for, and he's really making a statement tonight out here on Sonoma. As Joshua, I almost thought something had happened there, but it hadn't, so I will keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit difficult to find the action at the moment. Everyone seems to be circulating and having their own race. So we'll go through and have a look at some of the back markers doing their thing. There's Lockie Oquio there in 15th position. He's probably, well, this will be his first road race in a cup car, so this will be something that he's probably going to be getting used to. I have to admit that car looks absolutely stunning, even though I painted it myself, but I won't worry about that. Yeah, nice looking car.
Yeah, and new sponsorship, of course, for the team and the SimShed, some of the SimShed broadcasts as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Nationwide tracking systems have come on board. Fantastic to have them with us and have them as our naming rights sponsor for our V8 series as well.
Yeah, which is, of course, if you do like road courses, that is a series to watch. So make sure to subscribe to the channel to keep up to date on that one. Runs Tuesday and Wednesday nights, if I'm correct.
Yep, every Tuesday, Wednesday night. So on Tuesday night we have the live broadcast of the top split race, and then on the Wednesday night we have the replay stream of Split 2.
So plenty of action there, as well as some other things as well. We got had the first race of the my brain has forgotten now. The Club Day Masters, of course, the GT4 Club Day Masters.
Club Day Masters, yep, absolutely. Club Day Masters on a Monday night. GT4. Now they were running in the Porsche Cayman. They've been joined by the BMW M4. Last week it was, this Monday it was Imola. It was great racing. So that's also an awesome little series to come and check out.
Absolutely, and so plenty of action on the channel if you do love your sim racing, which is what we are here for, basically. And of course, Thursday nights is your night for cup racing, and that is what we're up to now. But of course we are on the twisty stuff, so we get to talk about some of the twisty stuff tonight. So you get a free pass for those ones.
100%, and it looks like we're getting onto towards teammate against teammate. JCW starting to close the gap between he and Ed Foster.
Yes, and Carol Walden's got slightly fresher tyres than Foster as well. He stopped, I think, 1 lap later than Foster. So we might just be seeing that slight drop-off in tyre performance over that 1 lap now as they come into the big right-hander and then to the left-hander. But JCW just catching Foster at a vast rate of knots at the moment.
Yeah, he's going to be all over the back of Foster's car in the next couple of laps. So I'm sure Ed's going to be seeing that in his relative, and he's going to be trying to make his car the widest ZL1 on track at the moment.
Yeah, and he has a habit of being able to do that, unfortunately. I can say from years of racing experience against Foster, he can make any car be a bit wider than it actually is, which is very frustrating when you're behind him. Just looking back at our final back marker on the track as well, Tristan Koch back there, 5 laps down, but keeping on it. He's in 16th place now, so going to be a good solid finish for Koch. Obviously not quite the course for him, but he's keeping with it and just keeping in the race and keeping on the track, which is all important. As Matthew Clerk makes a bit of a mistake, I think, which has allowed Neil Pearson to catch him. So we might get a little bit of action from those two yet to come as well. But at the moment, it is Carol Walden and Foster giving us that on-track excitement.
Yep, and hats off to Tristan for hanging in there. You know, I mean, yeah, he's 5 laps down, but he's out there and he's still circulating. And the big thing is he's gathering valuable experience on the road track.
Absolutely, and it's an important thing to do. Obviously, experience just helps you out throughout the season. I myself have started racing again, which to many people's dismay. But racing in the truck races on Monday night for the ANZCAR series, and before I talk about that, Danny G getting a good look on Josh Micklemore there. Very close that time round, so they're getting very racy now, those two. Danny G getting quite close to his teammate that time round as Dave Douglas goes to a lap of the two of them. But yes, I've started racing in the truck series for ANZCAR, which is on a Monday night, and also the 1987 series cars, which have come out recently. And we had our fast championship race at Daytona this week, and that was a very different experience for for a lot of the drivers out there. Very different car to handle from the modern Cup cars, for sure.
So how would you describe those 80s cars compared to the modern Cup car?
Well, you've got almost double the horsepower on a super speedway and half of the aero package. So they're very bumpy, very loose. You don't have any precision. You're basically holding on for dear life as you go through every corner, and it is a thrill ride to say the least. They are very different. You can see how the evolution of these Cup cars have happened, how the evolution of NASCAR has happened. They have got quite a lot of aero now, which does sound strange because they're not that heavy on aero, but they are a lot more aerodynamic now. The suspension package on the cars is a lot stiffer, a lot firmer. You wouldn't know it from looking at these cars out there as they wobble around and look like whales on this track. But when you go back in that 87 car, you really do notice it.
Yeah, and I believe well, I don't know whether it's going to happen in iRacing. Well, I say it probably will, but there are a raft of changes due for the Cup car for next year as well.
There is, and just before we carry on with that, just got to mention Danny G has got past his teammate, going past him into turn 11. Josh Micklemore just getting a little bit wide. Danny G just taking a nice line through there, skimming past, tapping his teammate just with the back of his car as he gets through. Not a big amount of damage on the car, but just enough to make a little bit of a dent. But Danny G has taken that position of 9th place from Josh Micklemore.
There we are, showing it on the replay. Yep, just a gentle little kiss, just nice and gentle, like you kissed your sister.
Nobody wins in that situation, as good old JR would say.
That's a great move, and let's just go quickly back to see if. Now it looks like Edward Foster's been able to eke out that gap between he and Josh Carroll Walden. So looks like maybe he was just sort of maybe driving at 9/10, 8/10.
Just driving to his numbers, maybe not pushing the car, not pushing hard, just driving to the figures and not really racing him, not racing the car, but racing his times. I think Foster's doing, which is just allowing him to have that little bit of extra pace.
Absolutely, and here comes Dave Douglas menacing the rear of Ed Foster's car. He'll be lapping him at any minute now.
Yeah, he's coming through with vast rate of knots, and you can just see the difference of speed on these laps. As that last time round, Douglas was a 39.9, Foster and Joshua Carroll Walden. Joshua Carroll Walden was a 43, and Foster was a 41. So Carroll Walden, has lost a bit of time that last lap round. We'll see what it's like this time, but maybe Carroll Walden's just put a bit too much through those tyres.
Yeah, looks that way. Either that, or perhaps Ed has managed to save his tyres, and now he's just bringing them on, giving himself that little bit of a cushion.
yeah, in a very good position. Getting that little bit of cushion, what you want to have on a track like this, just in case you make a small little error, then you don't have to panic and really sort of try and overcorrect the car, because that's something you can do on a road course, of course, or on any course. Is if you overcorrect the car, you make it a lot worse. You lose a lot more time.
Yeah, absolutely. And these cars
Oh,
were
and Matthew Cluett has gone off as well. Um, Cluett was running sort of in a little bit higher up. He's running in sixth place, and he's gone off quite hard, and that's got um, dropped him down to eighth. So he's lost a couple of positions there, Cluett. He managed to save the car before it got into too much of a bad position. He had to reverse it down the hill because he'd gone past the tyre barrier down low. So he's heading up to the ANZCAR, managed to brake just in time, but that was a big mistake, and that could have been a bad one.
Yeah, absolutely. As we saw there on the dripping paints graphics replay, yeah, that could have been all sorts of terrible for Matthew, but he managed to save it and get back on track, and now he's off and running again.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of little mistakes from Cluett tonight. He's been quite fast out there. He's got the pace, but he just makes a couple of little mistakes, unfortunately. And again, it's one of those things that's easy to do. These cars are not great to drive around a road course. Um, consistency really pays off here, and really he got lucky in the fact that there was that hill there, because if there wasn't a hill there, he would not have stopped in time and been straight into that Armco and probably out of the race with a damaged engine.
Yeah, 100%. And you would think with 6 laps to go, these cars would be feeling pretty heavy by now. Their tyres would be well and truly starting to go off. All the drivers would be fairly tired from muscling these cars around the track. So, yeah, I'm sure they're going to be very happy to see the checkered flag.
Indeed, that's one of the things. They're physical cars to drive, and just as you were saying, the difference between these and the 87 cars, the 87 cars are much more physical than these, and that says a lot. The Cup car is not an easy car to drive. It's not like a GT car. It's not soft, and you've got to muscle the car around almost. And driving back in those 87 cars, it is all about muscle. It's less finesse, more just about muscle and keeping that car in there, which makes it very different.
Yeah,
As we see Danny G getting past Matthew Cluett there, Danny G getting up another position. So Danny G climbing the positions now up into eighth.
and this is really working in Danny G's favour, because he hasn't really let Ed Foster get too far ahead. There's only one position between him and Ed, and that's JCW, who's 4 seconds up the road, and their lap times are pretty similar. So I don't know whether he's going to be able to broach that gap, but yeah, kind of working in Danny G's favour for the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. Danny G's got a relatively nice lead at the moment. He's out there on 571 points. Foster by 543, so 28-point lead for Danny G. So this is going to eat into that lead a little bit, but not by much if he keeps that position. If he can get past Joshua Carroll-Walden, it's going to be even more helpful for himself. Don't know if we've got enough laps to do that in, though, as Dave Douglas is now a full minute ahead of Michael Skurlock.
Yeah, I mean, Dave can pretty much sort of go to autopilot now. Although, I guess when you get down to these last few laps of the race, the last thing you want to do is to back off too much, especially after you've sort of developed that sort of race rhythm.
Well, we've seen it time and time again in numerous races where people have backed off on those last couple of laps and lost the car because they've gotten out of that rhythm of driving. It's something that happens in all forms of motorsport, and we've seen it a fair few times where people have backed out of it and just lost the car because they're not driving as fast as they were. They miss their braking marks or miss their acceleration point, miss their turning point, make a big mistake and lose a race. I'm trying to think off the top of my head last time it happened in any sport I was watching, but I can't off the top of my head right now, but it has happened, be assured.
Yeah, absolutely. And comment from Riley Curtis, walls don't move. Yeah, feel your pain, Riley. Better luck next week, mate. And Brad Allison, amazing. Douglas can win a restrictor plate race this season, then come out and dominate a road course. Cream comes to the top, absolutely. Dave has not put a foot wrong tonight.
Yeah, as I say, Dave Douglas has got this talent on restrictor plate races, on those super speedways. He is just he seems to be very lucky sometimes, but in motorsport there is no luck, there is skill. It's getting the car in the right place at the right time, and he tends to do that, and this has been a real dominant performance on the road course for him. He has just really shone tonight, and he's not been in many of the races this season. He's missed a fair few of the races. He's only done 9 starts, so he's down in 19th position for the championship, which is an odd place to see Dave Douglas. But if he gets back for the rest of the season, I wouldn't be too surprised to see him climbing back up there and maybe getting into the chase.
Yeah, absolutely. From what I've seen of Dave's racing this year, he's definitely a talent. Yeah, he gets some lucky breaks, but I think he creates his own luck as well with the way that he races and where he places his car.
He does, and we got Clerk getting past Danny G there across the start-finish line. Clerk going wide through turn number 11 and then getting him in turn number 12. A real nice move there for Clerk, getting a good recovery. And that's just putting another car between Danny G and Edward Foster. Now, the big gainer in this race and championship standings is going to be Michael Skurlock, who currently sits third in the championship. He's 32 points behind currently. With this race, I think that's going to put him back into second place in the championship.
Yeah, just as we look at that move that Matt Clowett put on Danny G, beautiful move there. Yep, gets the tail out a little bit, but gets a good drive out of that last corner, and away he goes. Yeah, this race is also playing into the hands of Michael Skurlock for sure.
Yeah, Skurlock, another driver out there that has just been very consistent this season. He's just been doing very well, of course. He's had a bit of a turbulent season, a bit of a... Well, his team dissolved at the start of the season. He was driving as a privateer, and now he's back with
Pace Syndicate, I think.
Pace Syndicate, that's the one, thank you. I had Race Syndicate in my mind, and I knew that was wrong, so thanks for that. Yeah, he's back with Pace Syndicate now, and getting back in there. So it's been a turbulent year for Skurlock, but he has been doing very well under the pressure, not cracking at all, and he's been very consistent as well. Again, one of those drivers that's been very consistent. We've seen Skurlock up the top of the step as well a couple of times this year, twice. So he's been doing well this season, and this is going to help his championship no end.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what he wants. You know, he wants to get those. Now that he's got that this podium, he's going to want to be keeping things as consistent as he possibly can. Get those top 10, top 5 finishes. Oh, and the first mistake that we've seen from Dave Douglas all night long. Just got a little bit wide there going through, I think that was, excuse me, turn 6 into 6A. But he's gathered it up and away he goes again.
Caught it back under there, yeah, very, very, you can see, and again, it's just another little mistake for Douglas going through turn 7 there, going wide there. So we've seen a couple of little mistakes on this lap. And if you're going to make mistakes, make them pretty much on the last lap and make them not too bad, and he's done that quite well. So I think we're seeing Dave Douglas now just starting to wind down a little bit as we get the white flag out for the Hybrid Racing Solutions white flag lap.
Yeah, I'd say right about now probably most of the nerves are creeping in for Dave, although he does have a very, very handy lead, 1 minute 8 second lead. He can back right off now and really coast to the end.
And a guy that's done very well and really not had too much talk in the last half of this race is Jason Hartigan, up there in third position. Jason, his first full season in ANZCAR Cup in the NASCAR series, and he has been doing a fantastic job. He got that win a few races back which would have been a nice boost to the confidence. Third place here tonight for, I believe, his first time taking one of these cars out on a road course as well. But he is a very good driver on road courses, very dominant.
Yeah, he's definitely a talent, and he's definitely one to watch out for. And I think he's just going to get better and better the more he races these cars. Third place, first time out on a road course, like you said, walking away with a podium. I think if I was Jason, I'd be very, very happy.
I imagine his team owner would be quite happy with that as well. So Dave Douglas coming through the final sector for the final time and coming across the dirt a little bit as he comes into turn 11 for the final time tonight. Just a dominant performance for Dave Douglas. He's just coming up behind Tristan Koch, and he's going to wiggle the car across the line, getting it all sideways as he takes the victory here at Sonoma. Brilliant win for Dave Douglas.
Absolutely, almost flawless driving apart from that small mistake, but at that stage of the race he could afford to make one or two mistakes and it wasn't really going to affect the outcome for him.
No, not at all. 1 second and 10 lead at the end of that one. 1 minute 10 seconds. Sorry, there we go. Absolutely dominant victory there. Skurlock just coming down the S's for the final time as well. There's still some cars out there, but not any really close enough to do much racing. A lot of them have finished because they've been lapped. So only Jason Hartigan and Jason Martin to cross the line now. So really, they've just got to make it across the line and then they're done. So Skurlock coming through 11 for the last time, coming across the checkered flag for the second place. Hartigan as well coming through for a very well-deserved third place. And Jason Martin, again, one of those drivers that's always self-deprecating about his road course experience, but coming home in fourth place, a very solid drive for Jason Martin. Very well done for him.
Certainly wouldn't be disappointed with that. And meanwhile, you can no need to guess how happy Dave is. He's really throwing his car around and getting those burnouts going.
Yeah, using up the rest of those tyres, really making sure to leave no rubber left on there.
Absolutely. No, well done to all three of them.
Brilliant job there. So yeah, congratulations to Dave Douglas doing the burnouts on the Sonoma. Think outside the oval Toyota livery there on the inside of turn 11. And yeah, absolutely well-deserved win there. Really good job there, and a really good race here at Sonoma. Something that we've not had in a couple of years, and nice to actually have it.
Yeah, look, it really was a great race tonight. Clean racing, smart racing by everybody. No one really got into anyone's way. Sure, guys. There was some close racing all night, so no, well done to everyone.
Yeah, it's what we like to see. There were a couple of little moments through the race for a couple of people, but nothing super serious, which is always good. A couple of unfortunate people not taking out the, not making it to the checkered flag, sadly. One of those things that can absolutely happen. Always annoying when you get it out of a race when you're having a good one.
Absolutely. So, Carl, did you want to do the honours with calling the race places?
Will do. So up in first place we have Dave Douglas. Second is Michael Skurlock. Third we have Jason Hartigan with Jason Martin in fourth. Fifth place is Neil Pearson with Edward Foster. Sixth. Seventh place is Joshua Carroll and Danny G in eighth. Ninth is Matthew Cluett. Taking out the top 10 is Josh Micklemore. Stephen Williams just outside that top 10 in 11th place. James Roby 12th. Good finish for him. Norman Clark 13th with Matt Hunter 14th. Lachlan in 15th with Tristan Koch in 16th. The last of the drivers to actually finish the race. Mirko Dorknack, who was 20 laps down after an unfortunate incident. Riley Curtis, again, unfortunate incident, getting caught up in the Armco there in 18th place. 19th was Jake Maloney, unfortunately going out way too early. Would have loved to have seen him in this race a little bit longer. Raymond Yeager, 20. 21st is Rob Fletcher and Shay Thompson in 22nd.
Well, what an absolute cracker of a race. I guess now I'll go searching, and it looks like our race winners. We've got no, just looking for our race winners. Maybe we want to get. Would we want to get third place up and have a chat to him, Carl?
Yes, we'll grab. If he's there, actually, I'm just.
He sure is. Let me drag him into the commentary booth.
Jason Hardigan, congratulations on a third place finish on your first time out in the Cup car on a street circuit.
Hey, Carl. Yeah, cheers, man. Cheers. Yeah, I guess before I did the ovals, I was a bit of a road course specialist, I guess you could say. So, yeah, just translated some of that to this.
Yeah, well, you definitely did well there. It was a tough race. Sonoma is one of the tracks that a lot of people despise. For yourself, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's horrible, basically, if I'm being honest. I spent the whole race just not pushing the car, just surviving. I probably could have challenged Skurlock earlier on. I sort of caught him up at one point, but I was like, nah, just... Yeah, Sonoma is one of those tracks where one little mistake and you lose 10 seconds, so...
It is a very low grip track, of course, and the hills and undulations here do not like the NASCARs that much. Just want to mention quickly, with the pit strategy you had, you stayed out a little bit longer than pretty much everyone else going to lap 25. Was that a sort of strategic one on you, or were you just feeling the car was still okay out there, just taking it as long as you can out there before you pitted in for new tyres?
Yeah, I did try a bit of a strategy there. I was hoping, because I came out behind Martin, but I was catching Martin, and I was hoping I might have been able to catch Skurlock, but yeah, he was miles ahead, so I probably stayed out there a bit longer than what I should have, but yeah, it's one of those things,
Well, it worked out in the end. Obviously, you had that speed, and Jason Martin made a bit of a mistake, and you made him eat that up. So got up there into that podium position. So really, congratulations on that one for your first time out in the Cup cars. And before we let you go, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to tonight, and all of that usual stuff?
Yep, I'll give a shout out to the Stock Car boys, JP Simshed, Drive Sim, Goodyear, Dragon RC, Nationwide Tracking Systems, and Abruzzi for their sponsorship for us. And all the guys on the team just week in, week out doing their thing. So yeah.
Yeah, well, congratulations again. Another great finish for you, and it's putting you in good standings for the season. You're in the top 10 for the chase now at the moment. Still a long way to go, of course, but do you think you can still defend that position towards the end of the season?
Yeah, well, my goal from here on in is basically top 10. If I don't get a top 10, I'm not going to be happy. So,
well, we will wish you luck for that one.
Cheers, Carl.
Jason.
Awesome.
JP here.
JP.
How are you, mate?
Good.
Congratulations on your third place, mate.
Cheers, buddy. Thank you.
Well done. I thought I'd create a bit of mischief tonight and join Carl in commentary.
Oh no, you're calling the race. Oh.
Yeah. Probably a lot of wrong calls tonight, but anyway, I had fun. But well done, mate. Really good racing. Great to see you in third place.
Cheers, buddy. Thank you, mate.
All right. Take care.
See you later.
Let me see if I can grab Michael Skurlock.
Yeah. Michael Skurlock, Carl Withy here for JP Simshed Broadcasting. Congratulations on that second place finish.
Yeah, good evening, Carly. It's been a while, man. It's been a little while.
It's been a little bit of time since we've had you up in the booth. It's been a few times this season we've had you up here, of course. A second place finish, you must not be too unhappy with that one, I imagine.
No, I mean, like I was presuming to, I was hoping to get top three. So anytime I get top three or even top five, I'm stoked, man. So yeah, I mean, I think Davo must have been one of the first people to try out Elon Musk's neural link thing. You know what I mean? I think he got plugged in for that race, channeling the Lord himself.
Yeah, he was very, very quick out there tonight. You finished a good second down off him. Sorry, a good minute, sorry. I keep saying second. A good minute down off him. Yeah, you'd have been pretty happy with a second down.
10 more laps, he would have been lapping me, I reckon.
Yeah, he was getting close to it.
Dancing with the gods, shall we say.
Yeah, he was definitely on it tonight. But you yourself were not putting a bad show on out there tonight. You had some serious pace out there. We've seen yourself quite good on these road courses through the times. You're pretty much an all-rounder, aren't you, really?
Yeah, I think just when I started out, I was doing a lot of road stuff, skip barbers and stuff like that. And I think that's what I started with. So the road it always sort of comes naturally to me. But I don't know how to get to the next level, like I've still got a lot of work to get to that Maloney and Douglas pace now. You know what I mean? Like that next level there, which is, it's hard to get the next level in anything, so I've got to find it. But happy with second. It's loose as out there. The new package just promotes so much wheel spin that you got to just drive. You basically just got to drive half speed everywhere just to keep the car underneath you. And just try to minimise the mistakes.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Things have changed a lot since last season, of course. Last time we were out here at Sonoma for these Cup cars. So obviously that must have been a really tricky one to get used to, especially with those new tyre packages, things like that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, my optimal, I was looking at the optimal, is like a 150. I can't remember what lap times we were getting. But it was, good 8 seconds faster than what the optimal of this year's is. Like, it's ridiculously faster. Well, it was ridiculously faster with the extra downforce. So, it's a bit of a battle out there, but everyone had to do it. And I noticed that Jason Martin, he beat me in a truck race on the road last week. And, like, he would either be the first person to say he's not the best road racer, but he's getting there, you know what I mean? Like, he's getting better. And Jason Hardigan put on a good show there as well. So, it's good to have a few people to battle with there.
That's it. We did say through the broadcast, Martin won the truck race on Monday night, and that's it. It's Martin is always one to say he's not good on road courses, but he's getting better, and that's a scary prospect, because if he gets better on road courses, then you don't really have much defence against him, do you?
Nah. That's the one thing I had. I just hope he stops getting better. So he stops practicing it.
Well, we'll ask him to stop practicing next time we have him up in the booth.
Yes.
Big thing for you for this one, of course. This is going to probably just get you up into second place in the championship standings now, just getting ahead of Foster. So obviously, looking good for yourself, getting into the chase. I know we're pretty much at half season now. Well, just over half season. So you must be thinking about those last few races before we get into the chase now.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's the chase is weird. It restarts everything, so back to square one, I think. So, I mean, as long as I'm in the top, whatever it is, 15 or something like that, then I'm happy. I just try to get top fives or top threes if I can every week. I'm not too shattered if I can't. It's all fun, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
tend to relieve stress, not create stress.
That is a good thing to hear, and you've been having a good season so far, and hopefully you'll continue with that one. So before I let you go, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to tonight? Sponsors, people, things like that?
Yeah, well, this is the first time I've got the new Pace Syndicate car up on the podium, so shout out to Pace Syndicate and all the boys there. It's definitely a good transition for me and a good team that I fit into well, because there's so many people doing lots of different things, so like I like to do everything, so there's always something for me to play in. And Worm Paints, it's Kyle Stevens painting for iRacing. I should have had all this stuff written down. I didn't even write down. There's heaps of sponsors though.
That's the
Shout out
trouble when you get a new
to all of
team.
them.
I was going to say, it was much easier when you had the hexagonal spot job on there. There wasn't so many sponsors.
Yeah, it's easy when the only sponsor is myself. Didn't have to do anything then. But
Thanks to the pad.
yeah, just thanks out to them. Good work to James Robbie. It's a good teammate. And just keep your chin on the rim, and hopefully we can keep this rolling throughout the rest of the season.
Well, I'm sure we'll see you next time out at Chicagoland.
Cool, mate. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Scarlock. Michael Scarlock there for Pace Syndicate. Great finish there for Scarlock.
Now let's see if we can find Dave Douglas. Where's he gone?
He seems to have disappeared, I think. Unfortunately, I can't see him up in the chat anywhere.
Oh, that's a shame. Looks like
Yeah,
he's fallen off the server. Come on, Dave, get back to the server, mate. We're waiting for your interview.
We'll see if we can grab him, but if not, we'll just say the usual Dave Douglas stuff. Consistency did good, the usual things from Dave Douglas.
Well, I can try to be Dave.
Do your best Dave impression, of course.
Yeah, look, I knew I was going to win. There was never any doubt that I wasn't going to win. I was pretty good. The rest of the guys just can't. They can't hang with me. That's kind of like Dave. No, it's not like Dave. He's a great guy. Next time, actually, Dave's in New Zealand, but if he ever comes to Australia, he's probably going to punch me in the eye now. But no, I was looking forward to congratulating him on such a awesome win and a great drive. But maybe he's tuckered out after that drive.
Well, he did a lot of effort through that one. You've got to say, Dave Douglas, that was a heck of an effort there, and a lot of a very good drive for him. Obviously, Dave Douglas is running privateer nowadays, I'm pretty sure, so no sponsors or anything to shout out even for him there, I don't think. So, but yeah, just a brilliant drive from Dave Douglas, and hopefully we'll get him back up in the booth when we get back next time. We've got Chicagoland next, very different track to Sonoma, very different style of racing. Of course, you've got a half oval, half road track there, which is really tricky to do sometimes.
Yeah, okay. I've actually not seen Chicagoland, so it'll be I'll be looking forward to seeing that one, to seeing what it's like. I might even have to buy the track and get on and have a go myself.
Yeah, it's well worth it. It's an interesting one to go for. So we will see you all next time out, June 18th, that is, for Chicagoland. And, well, thank you so much for joining me in the booth, JP. I hope you had fun up here chatting away. So from myself, Carl Withy, from JP, and from all of us here at the JP SimShed broadcasting team, we wish you a good night.
Good night, everyone.